So, Brent, is this your basic model for electric car for Think?
Yeah, so this is the Think City. Think is a Norwegian company. We build this car in Finland and sell it throughout Europe. And we're actually bringing this car to the U.S. to build and sell in the U.S. So it's the Think City. It's a full highway-capable electric vehicle with 100 miles range.
And this, the speedometer says 80 miles per hour. This will do 80?
This will actually do 70 miles per hour.
Okay, that's just an ambitious number?
That's right. That's the stretch goal.
In which most speed limits in the U.S. don't go above 70, so that's
right.
where you need to go.
Yeah, this will actually, when we sell this in the U.S., it'll do more than 70, so about 75 would be about the right speed.
And you mentioned that you're going to be building these in the U.S. It's at a plant in Elkhart, Indiana, correct?
That's correct, yep.
You had a very special visitor not too long ago up to Elkhart to commemorate you guys opening up your plant. The president was up in Elkhart.
Yeah, the president was in Elkhart. He was really announcing the some of the Recovery Act funds that were being released. So there's a lot of interest in Elkhart. It was an area that was really hard hit by the recession. There's a lot of RV manufacturers, and a number of companies went out of business. And you know, we're looking forward to opening a facility there and putting people back to work.
Now, when I have to tell you, Brandon, when I pulled up to look at this car and I look how small it is, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm 6'4". This is going to be a very uncomfortable ride. But I'm sitting in here and I have a lot of leg room and I can fit. This is really cool. I'm surprised at how roomy it is inside for what a small vehicle it is.
Yeah, it is deceptive, I think. You know, it looks small on the outside, but it's large on the inside. It's one of the reasons is we're sitting up fairly high. We're actually sitting on the battery pack here, which also gives the car nice stability and a low center of gravity. And also the roof line is high, so you do have a lot of space inside.
And this is run on a lithium-ion battery?
Yeah, this is a lithium-ion battery. The battery is manufactured by a company called EnergyNOW, and EnergyNOW is right here in Indianapolis. So we'll build both the car and the battery in Indiana.
Now, will the parts be made here as well, or will the parts be made in Norway, then brought here and assembled?
Right now, we're going to use our global supply base because we're already in production with this vehicle. Okay. So rather than resupply it, we'll use our global supply base. We're actually we're refreshing the vehicle, so we'll have a new model coming out in just a few years. And when we bring that new model out and build it in the U.S., then we'll look to bring more of the supply base into the U.S.
Now, is there a sense of excitement over at Think Automotive? Because you guys are going up against the Chevy Volt, the Nissan Leaf, the Ford Focus is going to be coming out as an electric car. So you're going up against some heavy hitters in the electric vehicle world. Is there any intimidation there, or?
I don't think intimidation. You know, what we have going for us is we have experience. We've been building electric cars and electric vehicle technology for more than 19 years, so we're not new to this. We've been doing this a long time, and we're also the only company that's currently in production with an electric vehicle. We're in production in Finland, and we sell that throughout the throughout Europe.
Now, we're starting to see the emergence yourself, Smith Electric in Missouri, Fisker Automotive. They're going to be building a plant in Michigan. We're starting to see some of the smaller companies emerge. This is an exciting time for the U.S. auto market, isn't it?
Yeah, there's really a paradigm shift that we see in the market, and that paradigm shift, particularly as we move towards electrification, means that we don't have to have mass production. We can actually build these cars in lower volumes, and we can build them in the locations where we sell them. So we don't need to try to sell 100,000 or 1,000,000 units a year like the big guys.
Now, the folks over at Tesla, they have teamed up with Toyota to help with some of their marketing, and they're going to be sharing some technology. Do you think that the smaller companies need to team up with one of the big three or the big four, or I guess that's the big five these days, to survive, or can you survive as a small independent auto company?
Well, some of the big companies may need to team up with us because we've developed the technology and we have the technology.
That's the attitude.
So we're now on our 4th generation with the our power control unit, and that's the brains of an electric vehicle. So it really controls the entire electric vehicle. We also have the electric battery that's developed out from a number of years, and in fact, we're selling that technology, that drivetrain, in several different projects. We have 2 projects in Japan right now, one with the Japanese Postal Service and another one with Mazda and Itochu. So we're already getting into those types of partnerships.
Now, where do you see this this company going? I know that you're starting here in Indianapolis, marketing here, but are you going to be opening up assembly plants in the markets where you're going to sell the car, or is it going to stay here in Indianapolis and you'll branch out from there?
Well, for the U.S., really the plant in Indianapolis is our only planned plant. As production increases, we may look to open other plants throughout the country or in other countries where we're selling the vehicle. But the idea is to really go where the market is.
Now, for those that are watching right now, they might not realize that this whole time we've been talking, the car's been on.
The car's been on, that's right. We could put it in gear and go.
I think we should do that. What do you think?
Okay, that sounds great.
All right, just like normal.
Yep.
Foot on the brake.
There you go, and
Pull
there's
down,
the D.
Pull down the drive.
All right.
And it's running right now.
It's running.
I'm driving the electric car. So I noticed it has park, reverse, neutral drive, and what's the E?
E is the economy drive mode. So economy is less aggressive acceleration and more aggressive regenerative braking. So when you're in E and you take your foot off the accelerator, you'll feel the car slow down a lot faster, and that's because the energy in the wheels is going back into the battery.
Okay, great. Very similar to what the Prius has with its regenerative braking.
Yep, both D and E have regenerative braking, but E has more regenerative braking.
And this sound we're hearing is just the rubber on the concrete.
That's right.
Okay.
Just when the rubber hits the road.
Yeah. Now, I know you're probably getting sick of hearing this, but it drove like a normal car. I know it is a normal car, but it was very similar to like a Ford Fiesta or a Chevy Aveo. It felt like a small, compact car.
Yeah, it's a solidly built car, and it drives like a regular car, but one place where you'll really feel the difference is in your pocketbook. It's only about 2 to 3 cents a mile to fuel an electric vehicle like this. So it has 100 miles range. It costs less than $3 to fill it up. So for what you pay for a gallon of gas, you can go 100 miles on this.
And how many oil changes do you have to do?
There's 0 oil changes, very little maintenance, very few moving mechanical parts to wear out. In fact, the first replacement maintenance is brake pads, which would be at 40,000 miles.
So a lot of the things like the carburetors, the pistons, all the different things that go into a normal internal combustion car, this doesn't have, which means there's less things to break.
That's correct. Tires, windshield wipers, brake pads, but the electric motor, everything else is very solid.
Now, we have your Think Automotive and some of the other smaller independent car companies. Is there still room for more smaller car companies to emerge in the EV market?
That's an interesting question. You know, I think we're going to see more movement towards electric vehicles. I will say one thing, it's not cheap to enter the electric vehicle market. We've put more than $250 million into the design and development of these vehicles. So you do have a lot of companies out there that are talking about bringing electric vehicles to market, but I'm not quite sure they realize how much that's going to cost in terms of capital.
Now, the emergence of these independent, smaller companies, would it be possible for that to happen if the big 3 or the big 5 hadn't also agreed to do electric cars? Because now that gives you a broader market. It convinces cities to put in the infrastructure. So having the Leaf, the Volt, the electric Ford Focus, having those cars out there only benefits you, I would assume.
Right. I think one thing it does, it brings a lot of attention to electric vehicles, and that does help us. It helps us get the word out about electric vehicles. Think City, we've been in production for about 3 years, so we've been producing and selling this car before the Volt or the Nissan Leaf was even announced.
So I'm noticing these panels, what are they, fiberglass on the side?
Well, these are actually thermal molded plastic panels. The color is molded right into the panel, so it doesn't take any paint to paint the car. So that saves on paint emissions and fumes. They're also very durable, so also very dent and scratch resistant.
And obviously, since they're plastic, they're not going to rust.
They're not going to rust, that's right.
Now, the big thing I'm sure people are wondering, okay, it drives nice, it's an electric car, no emissions, but the two things that American consumers want to know is how safe is it, and how much does it cost?
Well, I'll answer the safety question first. These vehicles are very safe. They're safe as any other vehicle on the roads. We have to meet the same safety standards as any other car. There aren't exceptions made for electric vehicles. We have a high-strength steel platform. We have anti-lock brakes and airbags. We have crumple zones in the front and the rear, and we also have intrusion beams in the doors for side impacts.
So it's just the same as any other compact car when it comes to safety?
The same as any other car, that's right. All of the safety features you'd expect. It has an extruded aluminum cage and that protects the occupants in the top here.
Now, how much does it cost?
Well, we're selling these cars through specific programs. So right now we're in Indianapolis selling the vehicle through Project Plug-in. And through Project Plug-in we can get the price of the vehicle down to about the mid-20s to the consumer. And as we roll these out nationwide and the volumes increase, we think about the mid-20s is the right price for the car.
Now, does that include the federal rebate, the $8,000 electric car tax rebate you get, or does that...
In Indianapolis, that's actually before the federal tax credit. So with the federal tax credit, it's even less.
So it's like $17,000, $18,000 with federal tax credit in what's going on here in Indianapolis.
That's correct.
That's a pretty decent price for a car.
Well, I think it's a great car. You know, particularly considering how clean it is and how inexpensive it is to operate and maintain.